Hello Amiga artists, this is Saturday Night Photon of ScoopX continuing the tutorials, and now we need a font. So as you can see, I've tested my idea for this font a little bit beforehand, and what I'm going to do is just the first part will be pixeling this font. The idea was to make some kind of Porsche font. And before I did this, this is one way of doing fonts, doing them small, sizing them up, and adding detail. I tried some colors. I used the palette to change the hue, saturation, and value, and so on until I got some kind of shade. We're going to adjust that, by the way. First of all, you can be fooled a little bit by LCD displays, so that you should exaggerate the anti-aliasing pixels right here a little bit, and right away I go into detail. But anyway, this is too dark, right? So we increase the value of it to make it simply less dark. And I guess that should do the trick for now. Actually, I think I made it a little bit too bright. And perhaps this also is a little bit bright. I don't know. So let's try that. See how that looks. Well, the colors are the same now. That's not good. So I guess that one's fine. Are they? Well, almost. So let's add some blue to that. And I realize I haven't anti-aliased this properly, I guess. You can use the comma key to pick colors. And you can see that I've used the same color there. I was thinking I'd use maybe something like that to anti-alias it. We'll fix the anti-aliasing later. Now the important thing is, as I said, you can do them in many different ways. You can make like common elements and copy them, for example, and that is a good way because it keeps the style homogeneous. That is, you make parts of letters complete with, lighting and shading and so on. I'm not going to go into advanced lighting and shading in this part because partly I'm a bit rusty, and I haven't really made any super duper special fonts, even though I like my fonts. Like, for example, Red Sector, and especially Tree Star, who had a great graphics artist called Terminator, who made great fonts. And also there's Ming and Reward and all these other guys. So let's get going. I've made a little test here. I usually make a line of letters like this in a small size. Usually I make small fonts, actually. This is an exception for me. This is made to fit, I think, in 32 pixels width, with a natural spacing of a few pixels there. It's not that important, and you should consider making also a proportional font, because we will probably run into problems with some characters. There are some characters in a font that are inherently problematic. If you're making a fixed font, then of course the I and J characters and perhaps lowercase l and so on will be problematic, because you will get a thin slice of character in the middle of the space reserved for the character, and it's up to the coder to make the scroll proportional, to apply a proportional font to the scroll. So other typically problematic characters are X, Z character. Well, not so much Z actually. M can be hard to fit if you're making a small font. What else is there? Well, if you're making a squarish font like this, then V is of course a problematic character. We may have to draw that manually. In other words, without sizing up the tiny concept font. And some other things other than letters and numbers, of course. Hash sign and alpha signs, @ signs, % signs, and so on. I find that letters and numbers and a few punctuation marks, such as comma, dot, dash, slash, exclamation mark, and question mark, is usually enough. Well, you need a quote as well to make what's up, guys, properly. So let's get started. Let's continue the A, B, C, D, E, F. So uppercase or lowercase, which will look best? You could make both, of course, which would be impressive. However, that's a little bit too long for the tutorial. And I'm chickening. I actually like these lowercase characters. Feel free to do them. I like the emblematic uppercase characters. They look like they could be stuck on the back of a car. So the inspiration is something like a Porsche type font. So basically what you do is either you decide on a maximum font width. So this one is, I can show you this, coordinates and exclude brush. Enable those and you can measure the width, which is 8 right here. So this means that when we blow this up 4 times, you will get a character that's 28 pixels wide with a 4 pixel space in an even 32 pixel spacing, and that's good for the programmer because he can easily pick characters from the font without bothering about. That's an even word boundary, which means he can just copy the words from the font and doesn't have to mask and shift to cut the bobs out from the font and place them in the scroll. So, which character is most like a G? Well, let's try C. I used B then. That's what you use to cut out bobs with. And you just drag with the left mouse to cut it out, and comma to pick a color. And I will soon stop commenting and just continue drawing the font and just checking how the fonts look. And I'm gonna keep it fairly simple. So EFGH. Well, an H is pretty easy to draw. We need to make this 7 wide, right, to keep a space on the side. Of course, you can mix uppercase and lowercase characters, no problem. It's pretty hip. It's considered hip anyway. So here's a problem. We need to make an I that's very wide, and you know that just doesn't look like an I, capital I. But you know, I would like to make a little accent here, and we'll fix that by code later. So I'm using V for lines. That's my usual way of drawing stuff. You can use S for stipple, which is this mode. You can also draw freehand, whichever key that is. D maybe. Seems to be D. Yeah. So I don't use it much. And we'll continue, and we'll just grab a D right here. Using M to zoom in, and we should place this next character right here because the programmer still needs to needs to have a good enumeration of horizontal x coordinates for the character. So the first character would be at x position 0, the next at x position 32, 64, 96, and so on. So we don't want to make the actual picture containing the font proportional unless we want to save space, unless it's very space consuming. Looks like an hiragana character almost. So that looks a bit weird, right? K is another character that's usually tricky. How about we borrow H? This is Saturday Night Photon, and I promised to make this tutorial tonight. So I'm afraid I've opened a bottle of wine. And if you hear any drunken rants, that's probably the wine talking. Let's say that it's the wine talking and not the photon talking. So I can't really. I will have to finish this in the blown up big size mode because I can't really do this. But it's a good idea to make a good job of it when you make the small font, because then you suddenly have two fonts that you can use, at least if you maybe touch this up a little and anti-alias it. So, well, it's almost faster if I just draw the stuff right here with my line tool. So I just measured 7 pixels there. Here we don't want the capital M, right? Because that's not in the spirit of the font. So, whoops, it looks like a Space Invader character. And as you can see, the M looks kind of odd, doesn't it? Is that too wide? No, it's not. Is this? No. As you can see, it just looks slightly wrong. So I may have to make the M slightly wider than the other characters, still keeping a 1 pixel space or something when we blow the characters up later. Perhaps I'll even do it like that. I might. I think I will. Okay. And we got D, so let's use that. I'm just showing that you can reuse previous characters that you've made and modify them to make other characters. It's not really necessary because this is a pretty simple font. It's 8x5, 8x6, something like that. So I'm just keeping an eye on the coordinates, and we may have to make this character like this. Sheesh. Choices. No, I may have to move that up half a pixel, so to speak, 2 pixels in blown up mode to make it look better, but either way, I'll use that. Looks like crap. How'll that look? We might get away with this by doing this. Okay. Using B, V, and left and right mouse buttons to draw and clear parts of the characters. And we'll check how that looks. So this is more like the K, right? Where you have one slanted line. And there's not much we can do. I'm just looking for the general. This small character set will give me a general idea how I want to shape the big characters later on. So, where are we? We are there. I'm gonna move that down one as it was originally. And remember that I have to shift this up a little bit in the big font. And there's not much to do about this one. We can only draw it with as much fidelity as the small size allows. And there's no problem making the T full width, like the eye. And we're running out of horizontal space, which means, well, you can of course use the screen format and set the page size, not the screen format, and add some space. But I'll just align it a little bit. Right mouse button cuts out the bob, leaving no background, or clearing the background, I should say. And whoops, we got a bold font suddenly. And it's sometimes hard to click just the one pixel. I used U for undo to undo that stuff, and here it sort of comes to our rescue. That this font is low and wide. We can do this and still get a 7 pixels wide character. So that should look okay. And we'd either make an X like this. Why is that 7? Okay. You may also want to make a grid. I can show you how to do that. You press this button with the right mouse button, you get a XY spacing of 8. Ours is 8 by 6, something like that. We want to adjust it to the top corner of the font, and then suddenly you can use stipple mode and shift to make a sort of guide to help you draw. So what happens is you can make a grid like this and put the characters inside, and then strip away the pink pixels with blank rectangle and stencil mode later on. That's an X. So, and to turn on and off the grid you press G, because now I need to make an alternate character, so I know which one I'll choose. Use comma to pick as before. So I simply want to see which looks best. So I can make 3 variants here and pick the one that I like the most. I'll move these. Again, the right mouse button and bob the B command. So this looks more like a Galaxian character. Galaxian, an enemy from the game Galaxians. So which one is best according to you? Which one is most in style with the other characters? I don't really like this X. I will probably run out of space here, plus it looks like an H. I'll go with the middle one because it keeps the horizontal line a little bit. So should you go with a lowercase or uppercase y? Well, we have part of a y here, so why not use that? Oops. You should press Shift B to get your bar back that you cut out. And how does that look? Well, I doubt I can make a better uppercase Y. Might be able to jazz up some kind of lowercase y here. Which one looks best? Well, there's nothing doing about the That's a common error I make. I forget the W. Maybe it's some subconscious hate of George W. Bush, who knows. Either way, it's a common mistake, common personal mistake. So lowercase y, uppercase y, which one is best? Decision anxiety. I'm gonna go with the lowercase y. Even though I could probably reuse some the expanded version of these graphics for the X, for the Y. I'm gonna go with this lowercase y, so only the Z left. Minus. So we have a problem, Houston, or do we? That looks like we could have taken the S and just jazzed it up, mirrored it. To mirror Bob, you cut it out and press either X to mirror it in X or Y to mirror it in Y. You can press Z to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. Shift Z, I think, to blow it up freehand. And there are some other nice shortcuts up here in the brush size. Here are the shortcuts. We'll use Shift H later on twice to quadruple it in size, and you can flip it and you can rotate it at any angle. Very seldom useful because you will have to touch up the graphics afterwards. But that we need to make the W. What I did then was cut it out with the right mouse button so that it disappeared, and then I match it up to the grid, pressed undo to see where the other characters were, and now I press undo again and click it into place, and I've made space for the W. So here we go. What about this? Press Y. How does that look? Might look decent enough. I can't really. The W is a little bit easier than the M if you're running out of space, because you can make something like this and it will still look like W, which is not true for the M. Well, anyway, you will notice when you make fonts that the W is a little more forgiving than the M. Okay, so let's cut out the A to Z, put them on a line. Assembly routine. My memories are all black and white. What wonderful lyrics by Killis. This is a cappella by Killis in the background. And I have no where I should stick these, so I'll just stick them, somewhere. So why not use the grid? And I can show you the stencil technique later on to remove the orange dots. Because that way we can fill up with 6 through, and G is like a 6, isn't it? So just use that. How does that look? Should we have square digits? No, that looks, well, square. On the other hand, that doesn't look. I think this, this style might. No, I don't think so. So let's not make too many decisions on this small scale yet. And why not reuse some pixels here. So for a 4 you have the choice of an open 4 or closed 4. The open 4 is our choice in this case, easily. Roll line. It's rarely a good idea to have this middle one full length, but in this case it might work. So what I'm doing is I'm using the zoomed in mode. You can use shift, comma and shift dot to zoom in and out, like this. So just choose a zoom level that fits what you're working on. And in this case this might work actually. So let's keep that, and a 2 is like a Z. And you really should make digits. I mean, really, come on. You don't want to type released TWENTY March TWOTHOUSAND FOURTEN in your scroll. You don't want to do that. You need to make numbers. You can reuse with some tweaking. You can make the Z look more like a 2 and then use it as the digit 2. Of course, there's the lowercase l or the uppercase I to reuse as the number 1 and so on. If you are lazy or if you need to save some space, by all means do that. So basically there's just 1 pixel difference between those. And here's our dilemma. Proportional font digits are a bad idea. Well, I shouldn't say that. What's wrong with that? Why shouldn't we have a thin one? But it makes the digits unusable for things like, well, not unusable, but it will end up being shown unproportionally anyway. Or you will have things like timer counters and other things that digits are used for, where the digits move because the font is proportional. So I'm going to be backwards in this case and make this one a non-proportional character, and that will basically have to do. And then there's the question if you want to make a 0 with a dot in the middle. Ooh, good old 1970s computer terminals. No thanks. How does that look? How does that look? How does one in the middle look? Well, that looks best. Or you could just have an ordinary 0. I'll go with that. Okay, so all that's left now is the exclamation points and so on. And they should, at least the exclamation point should be proportional. You can actually get away with it by left aligning the exclamation point and pretend that the non-proportional space is a space character, because usually exclamation marks end a sentence, as does dot. So let's go with that. Let's go with a dot and some stuff. And I'm just basically rushing this to get things done here, so I can blow the font up and show you the rest. Well, I don't know. I'm not really bothered. And here's a problem, because the font is 5 high, and so we'll probably have to remodel this question mark. We need a dash, and we need a slash, and we need a quote, single quote. And that's basically the font. Now, to get rid of this, I have no idea what color, which one of these pink colors I used, so that's the one. So what you do is you press tilde, you press shift tilde to the left of your button 1 on the number keys row, and you pick that color, and this is the one that's locked. The other ones should not be locked. No, the other way around. You should invert it to enable us to cut out the characters and strip the pink color. I accidentally hit the F10 button, which removes the menus, and it's very useful in Deluxe Paint. However, it also is the key that stops recording in my software. So what I did here was I used the stencil to remove the grid, keeping the font at its grid. I picked up the A through Z characters and moved them all together, aligned to the grid, the 8x6 grid, and I used the G and B commands to pick up only 10 characters, because otherwise the brush will be too big, and then I used Shift H to double it twice, which made it 320 pixels wide. So I realize now, of course, that I should not press F10. I have learned this lesson. And I will pick up only 9 characters, so as not to have to remove the menu. Plus it helps you to see the menu as well. Shift H twice and do 9 characters per line here. So we're gonna make these characters like the 8 down here. We're gonna anti-alias the corners, and we're gonna add these highlights to it, and that's as good as this font's gonna get for a tutorial, I think. I'm just trying to show the basic stuff here, not doing some awesome time-lapse like Prowler's time-lapse from Datastorm 2014. Check it out. I think it's called The Serpent. Okay, so what do we do here? We want to round out the corners, and how do we do that? Well, I tested on this. I may want to tweak the colors a little bit. I want to make this more like this color and a little bit brighter. So first I make sure I'm changing the correct color, and then perhaps a little blue there. I need to check how this anti-aliasing looks and choose whether I want to make the bend a smooth, soft one or a bit sharper one. Well, who knows? I think I'm gonna follow this almost, and the colors are okay. I guess I'm gonna see if lowering that helps a bit, and I'm gonna pick that color up, right button to clear, And that looked horrible, didn't it? So how do we fix this? Well, one way is doing this. And see how that looks, and it looks awful. And that actually looks better. It's a little bit too soft a curve. You see that the curve here doesn't match the inner curve here. And I don't really want to, maybe if I up this color a little bit. How does that look? That looks better actually. I'm gonna go with this for now and see how that looks, because I think these you can anti-alias until you get a big blur in the corners, right? So there's no really good way to do anti-aliasing except trial and error. Revenge of Bob Nasen is a premium example of anti-aliasing gone overboard. So what we can do is just copy this corner like this and use it here. How do we use it? It's the wrong way. Well, we'll put it here. That will probably do us for now, and then X to mirror it, and hey presto, you have a rounded A that looks a bit Porsche-like. So are we happy? Well, this will probably look a little less flat on top when we add the highlight here. So we'll go on with this, and we can put these corners by the characters up here, so we don't have to travel with the mouse farther than we want to. And what I wanted to do was pick up the lower right corner one. And hang on, that's not corrected like the upper one, is it? No. So basically we want the same segment mirrored in the y direction. So we only need the one to round the corners for most of the characters anyway. Wrong, I think. And here we copy this part. We may want to have a look at some rework of that. For example, why don't we do that? Yeah, that looks better. And how should this look? I think that's good actually. And is this correct? Well, this one is not symmetrical because this line is 4 pixels high. This one is 4 pixels high there, which means that this is not in the center, so this is not symmetrical. So we'll have to be wary of Y mirroring this, and we need to clean it up as well. You can pick this up and fix it up, cut out the bob, right click to clean up, and we'll put it by the B right here, and hey presto, we have a B character. Isn't that sweet? So we'll add the highlights last. So basically what you want to do now is just get the work done, so I'll just shut up and get the work done. You can listen to Kellis. She controls the dance floor. That's true. She's awesome. And I'm drunk, so I'm just pressing X and Y randomly to try to make something here. And I still don't like when that's not full width. I'll have a look at that later. Or maybe not at all. Maybe I'll be happy with the font when all this is over. And we're already underway here. Should the dot over the I be round or not? Well, I think we should tweak it some at least. Perhaps if we do it like this. Will that look good? It might. So this is manual work on the eye there. And that's okay, and we wanna you can wander through the colors with the left and right bracket keys next to the enter key. So I'm not sure what I want to do here. Maybe I'll just add a highlight to it later. It looks awful. I can't use this. So just keep it like that. Okay, so the first row of characters are finished. We need to press the G key to get the grid again. And another 9 characters, J, K, L, M, and O, and 4 more. Shift H twice and keep the grid on to align it properly. Turn the grid off because now we continue the font work. And here we need to do some special work. That's okay. So basically I'm using 45-degree lines to strip some width of the line here, and maybe that width is okay, a little bit wider. I wish I had space to finish it like that, but I don't unless I move it down there. So, but we only need the 1 pixel, don't I? So let's move it down and hope that we don't get. Might look good, anti-list. I don't know. I'm gonna use that. Okay, and here we need to can you give me that? Well, you know what? That doesn't look good at all. And I think it just fell apart. I'll have to do it like that. Maybe that will work. I'm gonna keep that and do this. That's okay, I guess. Okay, let's go on. And I congratulate myself on not having pressed F10 yet. And I'm gonna just copy that pixel, pick it up, click it into place. I think that's okay. And now we have the luxury of having finished some characters, so why not reuse them? X use the arrow keys to navigate here. However, no, we can't. We have to go back to this one. And I'll just copy that to the R character right away. And I'm going to use that actually to that marks the this one pretty good. We might get away with moving this sideways. That might look better. Seems my music is in a loop right now. So I'm gonna do this like this. F to fill. And we could make that work. Round it off. And we have an issue here. Namely that I misplaced the entire character. You shifted one right. Just compare to the character above it. And how should we finish this off? Is it enough to just... How does that look? It actually doesn't look horrible. But from this one. We could maybe do it like... I'll need to move it leftward. Yeah, okay. See if we need another pixel there. Might work. That's good. Okay. And that reminds me we need to move this up a bit. Right button. And likewise with this one. Right click up, up. And we needed to look at the K. Maybe we could reuse that part of it anyway by cutting it out, mirroring it in Y and putting it here. Yeah, that'd work. Yeah, that's okay. Too much. That's fine. Okay, and we need only this part to finish the S. Easy peasy. Okay, I'm gonna make a break here and talk to you in a bit.